It could be argued that while 2021 produced a few bangers, it wasn't the best year ever for games. However, when it comes to game music, 2021 was stellar. Dozens of games could be on our list for best music. Composers and audio teams really knocked it out of the park this year. What's the difference between a soundtrack and a score for a game? Well, thanks for asking. A soundtrack is all the music, including licensed songs, while a score is music composed just for the game. A great example is Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians soundtrack included dozens of hits from the 80s, but also an action music score written by Richard Jacques. Whatever you want to call it, here's some great music from the past year. There's so much musical variety in Peter McConnell's score for Psychonauts 2, your head's gonna spin. McConnell used character themes from the first game and added new ones. Just like the game jumps between mental landscapes, the music leaps between genres. The score includes jazz, big band, psychedelic rock, and of course, straight-up orchestra goodness. DEATHLOOP won the Game Award for Best Art Direction, and one of the reasons it captured the 1960s spy thriller vibe had to do with the music. Composer Tom Salta and his team did a great job of channeling James Bond-like music, surf rock, and top 40 sounding hits. Salta also added an eerie, dramatic score to the mix. Chad Cannon and Bill Hemstapat's score for Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut Expansion pulls themes from the base game while adding new, beautiful, haunting, and lush music, played by both an orchestra and traditional Japanese instruments. As befits a retro pixel art RPG, Joel Korolitz's music for EASTWARD is based on the sounds you remember from the early days of games. EASTWARD's music features synths, a bit of guitar, some chiptune fun, and hours of catchy tunes. Horror and the sounds of the orchestra go back to the earliest days of film. The game's music team of Shusaku Uchiyama, Marcin Przybyłowicz, Nao Sato, and Brian De Oliveira do a fantastic job of creating tension and dread through dissonance, and using the colors of the orchestra and voices in interesting ways. There are a few moments of beauty and sadness, too. For the score to Returnal, composer Bobby Krilic builds a tossed sonic salad of electronics, voices, and orchestra sounds. Of all the soundtracks on our list, Returnal is the closest to ambient music, less about the melody and theme, and more focused on musical texture and mood. Kena Bridge of Spirits is a beautiful, heartwarming game, and the score by Jason Galati mirrors the exotic visuals. Galati uses percussion and the sounds of the Indonesian gamelan for musical colors not heard in any other game this year. It's entirely unsurprising that Halo Infinite's score by Gareth Coker, Curtis Schweitzer, Joel Korolitz is one of the year's best. Using orchestra, the traditional Halo voices, and electronics, Halo's music shifts from action cues to introspection and mysticism. Richard Jacques wrote the action-focused orchestra score for Guardians, but most folk probably leaned into the game's dozens of licensed songs from the 80s. Plus, there was an entire album by the fictional band Star-Lord, headed by the game's audio supervisor, Steve Stepkowski. Of all the music from the past year, Kaiichi Okabe's score for Nier Replicant leaned the most heavily on the human voice. From stirring choirs to haunting solo singers, voices combined with orchestra, acoustic guitar, and electronics are on every cue. Hit like if you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos just like this. And tell us in the comments, what was your favorite soundtrack of the year? What did we miss?